Hello, hello. Um, Hope everybody is having a good day. Just getting some stuff set up real quick. So I've got some good news, and I've got a little bit of bad news. So I mentioned this last couple of days. During Cyber Monday, I got one of these little Wacom tablet things with like a pen and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. We can we can do some like drawing through problems. Bad news is, understandably, but my working on a work computer, and we're a little restrictive as to what can be installed and stuff. So I don't necessarily have a full-on note-taking app. But I do have like a Corel Painter. I've never used it before, and it seems like it's very much made for painting. So I did a little bit of playing around with it before this, and it didn't go super well, but I think it will be nice for trying to show, especially this problem, or yesterday's problem. Not that I know today's problem. Um, so going through it again, just making my windows good sizes. No need for chat to be that big. So hopefully that's good on your screen. So we'll read through it all the way. You barely reach the safety of the cave when the whale smashes into the cave mouth. Some story stuff from the day before. Collapsing it. Sensors indicate another exit to this cave at a much greater depth, so you have no choice but to press on. As your submarine slowly makes its way through the cave system, you notice that the 4-digit 7-segment displays in your submarine are malfunctioning. So 7-segment displays, they'll talk about that in a second, but it's like not even old alarm clock, but like just a cheap at this point alarm clock looks like. So you notice that a 4-digit 7-segment display in your submarines are malfunctioning. They must have been damaged during the escape. You'll be in a lot of trouble without them, so you'd better figure out what's wrong. Each digit of a 7-segment display is rendered by turning on or off any of the 7 segments named A through G. So to render a 1, only segments C and F would be turned on, the rest would be off. To render a 7, only segments A, C, and F would be turned on. The problem is that the signals which control the segments have been mixed up on each display. The submarine is still trying to display numbers by producing output on signal wires A through G, but those wires are connected to segments randomly. Worse, the wire segment connections are mixed up separately for each 4-digit display. All of the digits within the display use the same connection. Remember, it's 4 digits. So you might know that only signal wires B and G are turned on, but that doesn't mean segments B and G are turned on. The only digits that use two segments the only digit that uses 2 segments is 1, so it must mean exit segments C and F are meant to be on. With just that information, you still can't tell which wire B and G goes to which segment C and F. For that, you'll need to collect more information. For each display, you watch the changing signals for a while, make a note of all 10 unique signal patterns you see, and then write down a single 4-digit output value, you're a puzzle input. Using the signal patterns, you should be able to work out which pattern corresponds to which digit. For example, here's what you might see in a single entry in your notes. So if this is the same as the input file we got, this is all of the 0 through 9. So 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. So it's wrapped, but that part doesn't matter necessarily. Each entry consists of 10 unique signal patterns. They say that. A pipe delimiter, and finally the 4-digit output value that's important for the question. Within an entry, the same wire segment connections are used, but you don't know what the connections actually are. That's the whole point of part 2. Unique signal patterns correspond to the 10 different ways the submarine tries to render a digit using the current wire segment connections. Because 7 is the only digit that uses 3 segments, DAB in the above example means that to render a 7, the signal lines D, A, and B are on. Because 4 is the only digit that uses 4 segments, E, A, F, B means that to render a 4, signals E, A, F, B are on. Using the information, you should be able to work out which combinations of signal wires correspond to each of the 10 digits. And then they go on to talk about that there's 4 numbers that have a unique number of segments. and you can at least start to use that to deduce like which. Ooh, I'm dropping a lot of frames. I'm going to try to deal with that. 1 second. Very, very odd. My CPU seems to be being hit more than normal for some reason. If anybody's here right now, I will be back in a moment. I'm dropping a lot of frames, and I'm not quite sure why. But I have a suspicion. I'm glad I checked that before I went too deep here. It's weird, I'm still dropping frames for some reason. Yeah, I know. It should be back now. Sorry, I should have been talking through that. I was dropping a lot of frames. I'm gonna be watching it, but I think I'm better now. But what's up, Jedi? Good to see you. So yeah, so 7 segments. So there's 4 different digits in the segment display that have a unique amount of segments. So those are the good ones to start with. Spoiler alert, but what you need to do for part 2 is actually fully determine it. But part 1 was just in the output values, how many times do digits 1, 4, 7, or 8 appear, which is basically the first step of part 2. So I'm not really going to discuss that one if you do have questions on it. But that one should be pretty easy. This is where it got harder. I think it took me 10 minutes for part 1 and 3.5 hours with some screw ups for part 2. Because part 2 is where it gets really fun. So like genuinely it was quite fun to do, but it was also not the easiest thing in the world. So through a little deduction, you should now be able to determine the remaining digits. Consider again these values. After some careful analysis, you figure out that this would be the mapping. They don't really go into what that deduction or analysis that you do is. They make a very good implication of what that might be, at least starting with the unique values, but then you got to figure it out from there. So they figured this out, right? And then the 4 digits of the output value, what comes after the pipe, is 5353, and that's your part of your answer, and then they just want you to sum up all of them. And yeah, they just using that same mapping, they just show you how the numbers go together. It's just each one's a digit itself. And then you add them all up, and it creates this number. So yeah, this is where I'm going to start going through stuff with less than ideal drawing. So let's see how this goes. I don't know if there's a way I can move this. I guess that's fine. It's also very sensitive, so I need to work on that. Oh no. Yeah, maybe no drawing today. I might just wait until I get OneNote, which hopefully tomorrow will happen. It's weird. It also like jumps up. I have a. This is so annoying. Okay, we're not doing this. It was a good. I'll practice with it more and see if I can figure out how it works. But I'll talk through it the best I can. We only have 30 minutes left, so I don't know if I can fully talk through it, and I can draw pictures tomorrow, hopefully. Or I might switch computers, probably not, but potentially we'll see. So if you think about it, man, I really wish I could draw though. So let's think about it. I kind of did it on stream yesterday, but there were some things that were wrong. Anybody who watched it might have noticed that I completely forgot that 0 existed here. So if you try this problem out yourself, don't forget 0, but it's literally here. I don't know why I ignored it. But if you start with 1, as they talked about in the description, you're able to figure out, in this case, I'm just going to use the letters as they are in this picture. You can determine C and F, but you don't know which one's which, right? So there's only one that has 2 segments, so you automatically know the 2 segments that are part of the only 2 segment one are going to be, in this case, C and F, but you don't know which one's which, right? Because you just know they're both on. You're not really sure. Then you move over to 7, and with those 3 segments, you are able to conclusively determine the top segment because you already know what C and F are. You just don't know which one's which. So it's whichever one isn't the C or F in your 7, the 3 segment one, right? And then you move. So you know at this point, you know A, and then for sure, and then you know C and F, but you don't know which one's which. And then you move to 4. And again, 4 contains the C and the F. So you know that the 2, so remember, 1, 4, 7, and 8 are the ones that all contain unique amounts of segments. So you want to start with these to do the easy deduction first. So you already know C and F. You don't know which one's which, but it doesn't matter. So whichever ones aren't C or F are going to be B or D, but you don't know which one's which, right? So same idea, C and F. You're not going to confuse them, though, because they're the one that's part of 4. So you know that these 2, you just don't know which one's which. And then separately, you know these 2, but you don't know which one's which. And then you move on to 8, the last unique one. And with a similar idea, you know C and F, and you don't know which one's which. You know B and D, you don't know which one's which, though. You know A for sure. So whichever one's not any of these 5, A, B, C, D, F, is going to be E and G, but you don't know which one's which. So that part is relatively straightforward. But this is where it gets interesting. And I need to check if you... So there's 3 that have length 5, and there's 3 that have length 6. And that's all of the rest of your numbers. So 2, 3, and 5 all have 3 segments, and then 6, 9, and 0 have 6 segments as well. Yeah, I feel like a big brain solving it. It's like it's not that difficult. It's nice because there's like a visual aspect to it. So like, I'm not going. This is on the back of a receipt. I just got my battery replaced in my car, but it was the first thing I could find. But you're not gonna be able to read it. But it's nice. I was able to like sketch all of this stuff out on a piece of paper, and you can like figure stuff out that way. But hopefully at some point I'm able to actually like draw for you with my very handy tablet. But if I can't figure that out, and if I don't have the software for it, it might be being sent back to Amazon, but we'll see. So this part isn't super relevant to the first part, but like a hint, I guess, for it before I talk about it, is something that's going to be very important to... Oh, sorry. This is not... What was I doing here? So for I and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which are the range of segment lengths, you break up the characters. I'm gonna put a break at the end, just so we don't over clutter the output. So we're gonna take this one step at a time. This might be this is a really fun problem to talk about, and I want to have some better presentation. So this might go over a couple days, but I really enjoyed this problem, and I am excited to talk about it. Especially because I was grinding so hard on getting it working. So I called this known segments, but I create a dictionary where the keys are the lengths, and then within each it's a list. And then for each one, so 2 is just like a list within a list, which looks weird, but it'll make sense for the other ones. But it's the letters, and they were sorted. It doesn't really matter. What's up, Devil Squirrel? It doesn't really matter that they're sorted, but I thought that would be useful. But it splits up all of the characters within there. So 2, 3, and 4 length digits are just lists within lists, but then you have a multiple lists inside 5 and 6 and 3 of each. And the total output's wrong because I put a break in there. So then next what I did was I established that what I'm calling, I used combos to say like create lists of possible values for something. So in this case, C and F would be one's combo. And then I actually defined it as a segment, but I changed it to an indice, and I'll talk about that in a second when I know something for certain. Yeah, I saw on our leaderboard that you solved it, so nice work. It took me a while to finish it with some weird bugs, and I stepped away for a bit, but I did finish it as well, but nice work. So yeah, one combo is just going to be the known segments to index 0, because again, it needs to be index 0 because we just want the list inside. So we know that this is for the first one in the input file. We know that that is B and D, but we don't know which one's which. So if you print that, I didn't save. You print that now. Oops. I was looking up curl earlier, but we do not need the man page for curl right now. So it's B and D, and that's exactly what we expect for the one combo. There might be better ways to name this. And then the next part is we're looking at the known segments of length 3, which is also only one option, so index 0. So for each character, and that's part of why I split these up into all of their characters here, so I can iterate through it that way. For character in known segments of length 3, 0, because again, it's a list with inside a list, you get in this case, it'd be A, C, and F. So in order to determine which one's not C or F, you iterate through if character is not in the one combo that I just showed you, 0 is equal to char. So again, I'm using indices when I have defined that a value is determined. And the indices are basically just the word, because you can't name a variable with an integer. It is the word version of if A were 0, B were 1, C were 2, etc. Just because I don't want to like double clutter it up by using other letters or using the letters they used here to define what position they're in. It was just easier for me to debug and stuff, not being like, oh, is this A? Is it the A that was given in the input or the A that like I think it's going to be, and stuff like that. So at that point, you know what the top segment is for certain. And then next you can figure out the 4 combo, which is the B and the D, but you don't know which one's which, by using a list comprehension X for X in known segments for 0 if X is not in one combo. So it's basically what that's saying is which ones in 4 are not the ones that are already in 2, and that is going to be our 4 combo. So you can see that here as A and G, and remember 4, or as you see, 4 is A, B, D, G. So B and D we know are the ones from before, but we don't know which one's which. And then we know A and G are the parts that are in 4, but we don't know which one's which. Hence the combo name, in my way of writing it. So this is a really long title, but somewhat known before 8 are all of the ones that we've kind of pinned down to a position going into 8, was basically what I was trying to get at there. Which is all of the ones in this case that aren't E and G, because we know where A is, we know where B and D are somewhat, we've narrowed it down to 2 positions, and we know where C and F are somewhat, but we've narrowed it down to 2 positions. So we start it with 0, and then for all of the ones in known segment 4, because if you lay a 4 over the 8 and you add the top segment, that's that set that I was talking about, everything but E and G. So this is just a construct to add that. I will show it just briefly, and it's just what I talked about. But that part's not super important. So then to establish our 8 combo, In this case, what would be the E and the G, but not knowing which one's which. Again, using a very similar list comprehension, 8 combos equal to X, 4X in known segments of length 7, which is the 8. Again, the 0 here is just because there's only one option for length 7, so you're narrowing it down to that list, iterating through it. If X is not in somewhat known before 8, and again, yeah, thank you. Well, don't even thank me. I think I've talked about it before. But I use, dang, my computer's really, one sec. I'm gonna close this because I assume this is using, don't save, I don't care. Okay. Yeah, cool. I've got a trial left. Yeah, that's a lot better. So I'm using LunarVim with some very minor configuration changes. At some point on Saturday or Sunday, I'm probably going to be on here, potentially with some of my co-workers. Jedi, if you would like to join, you're free to. But probably what we're going to do is I talked to Ishmael. We might get him set up with LunarVim because he's been asking me for a while. And then we can all kind of hack on it, make it our own and stuff. And then we can kind of do something other than the advent of code, but still technical related, and dig into it. But this is just a one-line install if you already have NeoVim installed. So feel free to check that out. And it's also really cool because it's got, so like if I'm outside of visual mode and I press the space bar, which is my leader key, so you see it's leader down here, and that gives me, and it tells me all of the potential things that I can do with an additional key press. And then if there's a plus before it, it goes deeper into another menu and then tells me all of the options. It takes a little bit more config, I believe, under the hood if you change things. But the default setup is very, very nice for that. So like if you went into Git, you can check out a branch, do a diff, all that kind of stuff. But not super important right now. But yes, it is quite nice. I would say thank you, but I don't really do anything to get here. So back to this, the 8 combo, this list comprehension. Yeah, the memory usage is quite good. I mean, I have 16 gigabytes of RAM. You can see it's probably really small up here. Get bigger, cursor. I'm at 76% RAM, but it seems like Mac tends to keep more things in RAM. I've never had an issue with it. The other cool part, it leverages lazy loading very, very well. So plugins are only loaded, LSPs are only loaded if they're relevant to file types of files that you have open, or if you explicitly want them to be used in certain scenarios. So it's like really fast in that sense. So like even with that many plugins, the weird part is my shell takes a while to load. But if I just wanted to start a new file, it's probably because I'm streaming, but like there I'm up and ready to go. Why is my CPU? This is probably a bad example because I also have to do encoding on the back end. So I don't have as many CPU cycles to play with. But yes, it is quite fast, a lot faster than VS Code. Yeah, so it'd be better to show it when I was off stream. But yes, it is quite fast. Yeah, if you want to join on Saturday, I'll talk to you guys and we'll figure it out. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of Nix packages, Nix OS, all of that declarative philosophy stuff related to Linux. So yeah, at some point we'll be doing some Nix talk. But yeah, maybe not on Saturday or Sunday, but sometime soon on the stream. So back to this, got derailed. Important things to talk about. Vim is always important to talk about. But the 8 combo, basically what this does is it takes all of the ones that aren't E and G, and then the combo becomes E and G, but again, it's in a combo variable because we don't know what it is at this point. So there we go. So the next part is we look at all of the ones that are length 5, and I might have to reinvent the wheel and figure out why I did what I did in just a moment. But what we do is we iterate through all 3 of the ones that are length 5, and we count up what segments they cover. Now I'm using the letters. I wasn't super consistent with it. Now I'm using the letters that they were in the description. But if you lay them on top of each other, like all of them use A, for example, so the A's count is going to be 3, but only one of them uses B, and then 2 of them use C, and stuff like that. So if you look at that, you can use those counts basically to narrow down some additional stuff. So these 3 lines all, oops. Everything's way laggier today. I don't know why. But these 3 lines basically just create the counter. And then with this, we are able to now definitively define 1 and 3 in the indexes that I defined, which are going to be B and D, because remember, A is 0, so B is 1, D is 3. And the reason you can do this is because if you check the ones that are in the 4 combo, B and D, the one that's going to only have a 1 count, B, within the 5s is going to be the B or the 1. And then the one that has count 2, the else. I'd be interested to hear, or maybe at some point I will dig into your code. Rahul, who was in chat yesterday, brought up a potentially a graph solution, but I'm not good enough with graph problems to address that. So maybe that's the way you went, but maybe we'll dig into your code at some point. I don't know why. Not that the other problems so far have been like not great, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about here. I think there's many different ways to approach it. It's not like, it's clearly a programming problem, but it's like, it's more akin to, I don't know if either of the people in chat right now remember. I remember doing them in elementary school, and you have like the grid, and it's like somebody's friend, you get like a bunch of like descriptions, and it's like somebody's friends with X and they're friends with them, but not with them. And it's kind of like a weird like Sudoku puzzle. And I don't remember what like the output was. Yeah, logic puzzles. So it feels very much like that, and I enjoyed those. Yeah, I mean, it is a logic puzzle. So yeah, again, derailed, but back to this. If the length of that character is equal to 1, which is the B segment, you know that 1/B is going to be that character, else in this case it would be, oh no, sorry, it's 3, not 2, because we're looking at the D. But 5, 6, and 3 all have D, so their count would be 3. It's an else, so you can't really tell, but this is, the length is equal to 3. Then you've narrowed down 1 and 3 definitively. So at this point, you know A, B, and D. And I made this a little bit harder to follow by doing that indexing thing. But you can do a similar thing with 6 and 4. So 4 would be 4 would be E, and 6 would be G, right? So you can do the same thing with the 8 combo to narrow it down. Let's see if I can reverse engineer. So you know that E is going to be the one with count 1. So 4 is going to be the count 1, 1, because 5 and 3 don't have the E segment, but 6 does. And then what would the G one be? It would be 3 as well. So you know that that one's 6. So at this point, we know B and D, E, G, and A definitively. So all you need to do is narrow down C and F, the 1 segments. So you can do this. We've milked everything out of. Did I do this wrong? Oh wait, there's no reason I even had to look at the length 6 ones. I don't think. Did I? Oh no, I did. And the reason that you can't use the length 5 segment ones is because if you look at the counts of the 2 that are part of 1, both of their counts are going to be 2. Because 2 and 3 have 1 here, 5 doesn't. but then 2 doesn't have one here, but both 3 and 5 have one here, so their counts are going to be 2. They're the same. You still don't know which one's which. Okay, good. I wasn't doing anything too stupid. So the length 6 count, similar idea. You just instantiate the same dictionary. You go through, count them all. That part's not really important. And then you can narrow down 2 and 5. So for character in the 1 combo, the C and the F in the descriptions case, if the length of 6 count, or I will show this first. So if you look at all of the ones of length 6, you've got the 0, a ring. You've got the 6, which is almost a ring, but you got the middle. And then this is almost a ring, but you've got the middle. So you're missing this, and this, or this. Remember, there's only one missing. So if you look at the count for this top segment, the C one, it exists here, it doesn't exist here, and it exists here. But then for all of them, the bottom one does exist. The F does exist, so its count would be 3. So you're able then to narrow down the length for the character in length 6 count is equal to 2. That is going to be the 2, which is my 2 is a C. And then the other one, which would be equal to 3, is going to be that last segment, F. And then you've determined everything. So then I create a... what's it called? I create a list with all of those variables in there in the right order. And then now this is just iterating through to find the stuff that comes after the pipe, because now you need to use this information to then actually figure out what the numbers are that come after the pipe. And this was fun in a different way. It wasn't like super clear how you like, I was thinking about this one for a while, like how do you actually map that back to a value? So clean line 1 is I split it by the pipe, and then I split it again because each one's divided by a space. So I create a string position list, and then for character in sequence, the string position, you append the index, and that's why I put them in the right order. I append the index of the, wait. I'm kind of confused what I did now. Oh, I see what I did. So I'll show you in a second, but I'm appending the index of that character to the string position. I sort them all, and that'll make sense why in a second. And then the string position, they need to be strings, so I cast them all to strings. They can't be the integer value of that index. And then I join them all. So like, for instance, just for simplicity, 1 would be, in this case, so C is 2, D, E, 2, 5, like the number, well, 25 as a string, or 7 would be 0 to 5. And the reason I do this is because then I map it back to this number mapping given a string. So 1 is 2, 5, 7 is 0, 2, 5. And that's why you need to sort them, because I don't want to have to deal with, like, does it contain all of those numbers but in a different order? Just sort them to make it easier. And this is, I had to manually write these out, but these are the segments given my numbering, like the 0 index numbering. These are the output numbers that it will give from that. So then you take that string, use it as the key into that number mapping dictionary that I just showed, cast that number as a string, because I don't want to have to do, because there are 4 digits of a number. So like, you can't just add them together. You have to do like the first one's times 1,000 of its own value, the second one's times 100 of its value, third one's times 10, and then the fourth one you're just adding itself, like how base 10 numbering works. So I just did it as a string, and then casted it back to an int once I've added those 4 digits together. And then each time we go through, each line is a separate combination with outputs after the pipe. So yeah, see you later. Thank you. Thank you for the good luck. Hopefully you take a crack at them soon. But yeah, see you tomorrow. But yeah, each iteration, you there's a total input that's equal to 0 at the beginning, and each time you add this new output, and then the break is no longer necessary, and print the total output. So this is my final value, and that's how I got my final value. That was correct. Yes. Cool. Devil Squirrel, just quickly, like, how did you approach it? I'm interested to know. Interesting. With 1 and 4, that's all you need to figure out. All the rest. Interesting. I'd have to think about why that works. But that's interesting that it does work. So you still have to use the information from the other ones. You're not totally using 1 and 4, but you don't have to, like, mess with defining the segments individually in, like, the visual way, right? Oh, you're saying, oh, that's interesting that works out. Yeah, I'll take a look at your code probably off stream. I'm interested how you do it. 1 sec. I'm gonna black out my screen just so I don't show anything accidentally. But something's lagging. So I'm gonna close some windows that do not need to be open. Almost done. What is using so much CPU power right now? This is odd. Doesn't help that I have a bunch of tabs open. Someday soon I'll make like a waiting screen so I don't have to completely black out my screen. But yeah, everything's like way laggier than normal today. Coming back now. There we go. So 5 minutes to the puzzle. Yeah, hopefully I'll have OneNote or something. You know why what? Why everything's so laggy? Says I'm not dropping frames anymore though, so that's good. I dropped a bunch at the beginning. I think it had to do with the like Painter program I was trying to use to draw some stuff out. Just like not meant to be used. But yeah, a little under 5 minutes left. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. And yeah, 4 minutes left. So I'll be back momentarily. I will see you guys soon. Okay, I'm back. I did not mean to ignore your question, V301. If you're here, what did you mean by you know why what? The lag on the stream, or the way that Devil Squirrel solved his solution? Because if it's the latter, I have no idea. Excuse me. Devil Squirrel, do you know why it works? Or you just know that it does? I'd have to map it out. Say 9. Oh, you can tell by looking at the overlap of the segments. So it's kind of similar, it's just a different way to approach. Right? Because in a way, my counter is just looking at the overlap of the segments too. It's just a little more of like a explicit way. But I don't know. Maybe my internet's being wonky today. Because it seems like my upstream. Yeah, good luck. Odd. This should be all I need to start. Good luck. We're gonna do great today. I know it. I should have written down how many dropped frames I had before, but hopefully it doesn't look like I'm dropping many anymore. But yeah. Ooh. Is there like a pattern to previous years, or is it just because there hasn't been any maze problems yet, or? Okay. If you're right, you're a genius. I don't know how I do on a maze problem. I know I've solved them in previous computer science classes, but I've not done anything maze related in a while. But I know you're about to mute, so good luck. Good luck to anyone else in the chat that's also going to be working on it. Whew. Do 15 seconds. These caves seem to be lava tubes, parts even still volcanically active. Small hydrothermal vents release smoke into the caves that slowly settle like rain. You can model how the smoke flows through the caves. You might be able to avoid it and be that much safer. The submarine generates a height map of the floor of the nearby caves for you. Smoke flows on the lowest points of the area it's in. For example, considering the following height map. Sounds like a maze problem. Each number corresponds to the height of a particular location, where 9 is the highest and 0 is the lowest a location can be. The first goal is to find the low points, locations that are lower than any of the adjacent. Find all of the low points. What is the sum of the risk levels? Oh, I thought I could skip it. In the above example, there are 4 low points, all highlighted. 2 are the first row. 1 is the third row. Wait, what's considered a low point? Just like a local minimum? I think. Yeah. The first goal is to find low points, the locations that are lower than any of its adjacent locations. Most locations have 4 adjacent locations, up, down, left, and right. Locations on the edge or corner of the map have 3 or 2 adjacent locations, respectively. Diagonal locations do not count as adjacent. In the above example, there are 4 low points, all highlighted. 2 are in the first row, 1 in the 0. One is in the third row, a 5, and the one is in the bottom row, also a 5. All the locations on the height map have some lower adjacent location, and so are not low points. The risk level of a low point is 1 plus its height. In the above example, you get 2, 1, 6, 6. The sum of the risk levels of all low points in the height map is therefore 15. So let's take this. And before I get too far, I'm going to make sure that this is the format the puzzle input is in. Yeah, it is. I got screwed over a little bit yesterday. I'll save that just so I have it. I got a little screwed over yesterday because the whole like moving it onto like the next line screws up how you parse the actual problem. So let's replace it. Okay. So next question. Let's make this test. Test. So the next question is, how do we do this? So let's take the input. I want to make each number on a separate line. So for line in input, line is equal to x for x in line, but we want to cast it to an int so we can actually compare it. And that should be enough. Forgot to do this because it's always going to start at the root of the Git repository. So Python. Oh. So R strip takes out white space. Oh. Oops. So it's not. But it only works on strings, understandably. What? So it didn't work. New input, probably because I'm changing it in place. Cool, that's what I was looking for. So now we can iterate through it. So traverse height map input, define traverse height map height map. So you know that all of the ones in like the inner square, so the 9 through the 8, all have adjacent values, but you want to not ignore the ones that are on the outside, or you don't want to do like create an out of bounds error by trying to find ones that are on the like outer rim. So I think this will work, but instead of having two different like series of checks, you can do the check on each one. So it's so height would equal the length of height map. Yeah, and then width equals the length of height map 0. Are they in the order I'm expecting them to? So 219, yeah. Yeah, that'd be correct then. So for I in range height 4j in range width. And then this is where we can do a check. If I guess this isn't really that much different of a solution, but if I is equal to 0, so for the height, let's just figure out the inner ones first. So if I is equal to 0, then pass, but I'll change it later. If I is equal to the height, is it -1? That would be being on the bottom row. 0. No, it doesn't need to be -1, I don't think. Else if j is equal to 0. So you need slightly different versions for each of these. Never code like this normally. Never do the check and then pass. You should probably do it the other way. Just for efficiency reasons. And then j if is equal to the width. But I'm just going to replace this either. It just means that we're not going to get an out of bounds error. So if range so the height would be I, the width would be j, is less than range. So current cell equals range I j, or this is gonna kind of be a pain. I'm just gonna do explicit. If current cell is less than range I plus 1 j, and current cell is less than range I minus 1 j, and current cell is less than range I j plus 1, and current cell is less than range I j minus 1. So we want to create a low points list. What am I doing right now? Low points dot why is it lagging out right now? What is happening? Maybe the computer needs a restart. So it's back now. Just didn't take my input there. So we want to append its risk level, or we don't even need to append its risk level. We just want to current cell plus 1. So this is just a counter. So we should, if this runs correctly. What do you mean? Oh. Oh man, why'd I put range? That's a blunder. Oh, I need the return new inputs. Oh. So it is -1. Because it can't do one above or one below. Wait, how's it still out of range? So 0 would mean it's on this, on height. 0 is this. Height. Is it height -2? Which one's it failing on? Or, oh, it's j plus 1. So it's -2? Oh yeah, because it's -1 to be 0 indexed. What? I might be indexing these in the wrong order. So 0, 9. So 9 plus 1. Is it because the corner cases? Oh. How's it still out of range? Just guessing. Is it -3? Wait, why is this happening? So if it hits any of these... Okay, I'm going to try this a different way. A little bit of... Oh. Okay, so now it runs, and then when we're done, print low points. So we should get 6, because that's the only one that's not on like a outer side. No. It doesn't print at all. How does it get 8? So that means it somehow found a 7 where that applies, which doesn't make any sense. Why is that happening, though? Um, so 0, 1, 0. That's bizarre. How is that possible? How'd it do I plus 1? Oh, because it's wrapping around to this one. So I guess that is what you would kind of expect. So it found this 5, which is at 2, 2. And this one, because you can use negative indices, because I did the lazy way of dealing with the errors for right now, it's also able to pick up this one. Whereas this one, when it wraps around, doesn't work. Because it's somehow not the lowest, which isn't true. This would be the 1, and the 8, and the 2, and the 1. Should still be the lowest there, though, too. So why'd that one? Oh, because it can't go above, it can only go below. It can only use negative indexes. So now we get to figure out the different ones. So let's do the corner cases. Not in the metaphorical or colloquial sense, but like literally the cases related to the corners. So let's start. So if I is equal to 0 and j is equal to 0, I'm going to do each one separately. If I'm sure there's a way to optimize this, but I think I'll be faster not worrying about that. So if current cell is less than height map I plus 1 and current cell is less than, sorry, I plus 1 j, and it's less than height map I j plus 1, then low points is plus equal to current cell plus 1. Else if then if I is equal to 0. Okay. So now let's test. So if I equal to 0 and j is equal to width minus 1, which would give us the 0 case. If current cell is equal to I minus 1 and j plus 1. Okay. Wait, so if it's sorry, I did this backwards. It would be I, this one would continue to be plus 1. This is minus 1. So the risk level is 9 because it now adds the 1. And it's able to pick up this 1 because weird stuff is happening. So that needs to be fixed as well. But I will do that momentarily. If I is equal to height minus 1 and j is equal to 0, it's going to be more similar to this one. If the height map, so it's I minus 1 j and then j plus 1, cool. And then if I is equal to height minus 1 and j is equal to width minus 1. And now it's both of the minus 1 cases. So it can't go any higher than that. So our value should... Oh. Yep, risk level stays at 9 because nothing else gets picked up there. And now we can go for this segment, this one, like 1, 2, 9, 8, 9, 9 through 7. All of like the ones that are on the outside but not on the corners. Oh wait, no, you can't even do that as a... They all have to be 3 different options. So if I is equal to 0, so it doesn't get picked up by these other ones, we create it as an elif. If I is equal to 0, and it's not on the corners because it's an elif, so I is our height 1. So then if the current cell is less than height map I plus 1, and current cell is less than height map I j minus 1, so now j can only be moved up. So it's going to be I minus 1. Now if I is equal to height minus 1, it's the same idea, but you can only go minus on I, but j can go in either direction. And j is equal to width minus 1. J can only go down, but it can be I plus 1, I minus 1. So now it's going to double count this 1 because it knows it already shows up, so we should get 17 if I did this right. Oh, wait. That's odd. So I mean, I don't think I did it completely right, but let's say I did. Oh, I guess I did it. That doesn't make sense. Whatever. Next, you need to find the largest basin so you know what areas are most important to avoid. A basin in all locations that eventually flow downward to a single low point. Therefore, every low point has a basin, although some basins are very small. Locations of height 9 do not count as being in any basin, and all other locations will always be part of exactly one basin. The size of a basin is the number of locations within the basin, including the low point. The example above has 4 basins. The top left has a size 3, because 9s don't count. The top right basin is size 9, again, because it's got 9s on all adjacent sides. The middle basin has size 14, the one with low point 5, and then they all go up to 9 on all sides. And the bottom right basin has size 9. Find the 3 largest basins and multiply their size together. Okay. So let's be a little more descriptive with this. This is no longer low points. This was risk factors, risk levels, or risk level. Change that. But now what we want to do is in each one of these cases. Yeah, not too bad. I just finished part 1, so I'm a little behind, and I did this in a very verbose way with all the different cases, because I was trying to be a little cheeky with it, but it didn't really work. So low points equals a list, and I'm going to add all of them as tuples. So low points dot append, and then the tuple ij. But yeah, I don't think it's too bad. It's just taking a little while to code. So basically, once we find a low point, then you iterate through all directions you can. So I'm going to return low points from this, and then pass it into an additional function. So product of large basins equals calculate, or it's traverse basins, and give it low points and input. Def traverse basins, low points, and height map. So how do we do this? So for each low point, you want to iterate in all directions that are possible, and yeah, just find all of the numbers. Okay, so for point in low points, and then you want to iterate in all possible directions. So no, you have to go out in circles, right? Or you go in one direction at a time. Like you can't skip they have to be contiguous. But you can't have like weird shaped ones, right? Basically, you want to iterate out through. Man, how to do this? Might have to think for a second. So take a low point. Oop, I just activated Google on my phone. What were the low points? Oh, is that 5? So you look at all the adjacent ones and see if it's not. You don't have to check if it's less than, because you already know that. I guess I could have actually I think I can put it in here, because it will follow the cases. Let's try that. So in the normal case, no, I don't think it's a good idea to do it that way. Per point in low points. How do you check all the adjacent ones? So let's look at the corner case first. So for I in range, it's like height minus 1 minus 0.1, which is its horizontal direction, right? I'm doing like vertical first and horizontal second. Or, oh no, so this is, and this looks as far left as it can. I feel like I'm overcomplicating this, because I want to iterate as far as it can until it reaches a 9, and then it's going to break. So it's going to look the immediate, so it's going to be 1 to that. So let's pretend that the 2 is there. The height is 5. So we'd want to go from 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's the height is 5, so it's height minus 1 minus the point's height value, so 0. So that would go through 4. Yeah, okay, I did this right. Basin size is immediately equal to 1, right? And if height map I, and then 0.1, so its horizontal value does not equal 9, then basin size is plus equal to 1. And then we do this again, or from 1 to width, and then 0.1. So this is I, and this is 0.0. Does not equal 9 within that tuple. And then the oh, this is what I was afraid of. So you can like hook around the corner. Because if you just go out and down, you just go out and down from here. Yeah, no, I can't do this. Oh man, what do I do then? You look at the adjacents and the diagonals, you add those, and then you check from the adjacents and its diagonals that are like greater. This is I'm sure there's a concept that would be really useful for this, but I don't know anything off the top of my head. Devil Squirrel, you have any subtle hints that you would like to share about how to traverse this? Yeah. Yeah, I'm starting from the low points, definitely. That's why part 1 exists, right? So this one's easy, right? This one would work with the way that I started to do here, where you just look in all 4 immediate directions and you go until you find a 9. Expand out from each. This is what I'm concerned about though. How do you get this 4? Like if you go in all 8 possible directions, right? Like how do you pick up this 4? Recursively. Oh, you pass in the new points you're checking until you reach a 9. Okay. So then and I assume you only do it 1 point at a time, right? You don't try it in order for it to be a like recursive function, you can't. This would just be a singular low point. And you go out in all 4 directions, right? Or all 8 directions, including the diagonal. Wait, 4 directions. Oh, because this will check. I see. This will check. Okay. Man, recursive solutions hurt my brain. So, So if 0.0 is less than, because this is the height. So I know there's going to be a check for a 9 on the immediate ones, right? So if oh yeah, no, I just do it like this. If 0.0, so the height is less than height minus 1. Oh, I'm gonna make that global. Oh no, I can't make it global. I forget how scoping works. So I'm going to return height and width then from this. Actually, I really don't like that. So if it's less than height minus 1, then if height map point 0 plus 1 does not equal 9, then count is plus equal to traverse basin. And then the new point would be would you increment count here and then traverse further? Yeah, I believe so. And then I gotta do this for all 4 directions. Am I on the right track, Devil Squirrel? I think I get it. From what you can understand about Python syntax. So this is now, so this is going to be, it's not height minus 1, it's now width minus 1. Actually, I think it would be so now it's if 0.1 is greater than 0, then you're going to go -1. You're going to pass in -1 with the height map, and you return count, and then product of large basins equals 1, because you can't start with 0 because it will keep it at 0. But for point in low points, oh. Am I doing that correctly? If it's times, that will be its value. Okay, yeah, that's correct. I just want to print it out. So for debugging reasons, print point basin size and print product of large. Whatever, that's not important. I will fix that later. Oh no, it's not. It is important. Right, so why did it change? What was there? You can only concatenate string, not int, to string on line 31. So weird. Why did it work before though? These aren't strings. What do you mean? What? Why is that happening? You can only concatenate string, not int to a string? When is current cell ever a string? Why would it be a string? Uh, um, yeah, it's an int. Why is this happening? So this implies that it is a string when we're trying to concatenate. This is not what I wanted to deal with. What? Oh. Silly banana me. Okay, so take out this print statement, take out this print statement. Maximum recursion depth? This looks like way too much recursion though. Does this recursion look correct? Because why would I be recursing too much? I know that oh no, this is with the test input file. It's limited to 1,000. So it says, did you do it tail recursively or head recursively? I don't see how it would work. I don't see how it would work head recursively. It's whether or not you like call the tail versus head recursion. It's it would be the difference of 104 and 105 being flipped. Call is tail recursive if nothing has to be done after the call returns. The returned value is immediately returned from the calling function. When the first statement of the function is the recursive call. Wait, oh yeah, so it is tail recursive. Yeah. So this versus this. So it said Python is not good at tail recursion because the stack gets really big. Oh, if you often let's try this. Oh. I'm afraid of screwing with it too much though, because then I crash the stream and stuff. So I don't know if I'm. Yeah, I'm just afraid I'm gonna crash the stream if I set it too high. Oh. Also, how's this not going to go backwards? I think that's why it's hitting the limit too. I will do this 1 sec. Do you pass your count? Oh, so you make them nines as you go. But then I need to pass in a copy of the height map every time. Do you pass the count in every time as well to your recursive function? Okay. So if it equals 9, you return the count. You increment the count. And then this then equal to a 9 so it doesn't move back on itself. That's smart though. I like that. Is that going to screw with calculating the basin of the other ones? No. Well, you do what at the top? Oh, if it's not a 9? Oh, I see. So if it is a 9, you return it. Else, then you set it to 9. I see. But it's not going to screw with the other basin calculations because every basin is already bordered by 9, so adding more 9s. Wait, why do you not have to check 9s? Oh, I see. I don't think anything's so far. Oh, no. This change will help with the recursion limit because it was going to go back on itself. It was going to like move and then go in every direction, move and go in every direction. So I also need to... Wait, so you do pass in the count? Wait, so if you do pass in the count, you can't add it to itself because then it's going to get massive. So doesn't the count always start at 1? But you need it to return the count here. Wait. So let's say you start at here. This is going to turn to, well, this isn't easy. Well, that one's too easy. So this one, it's not a 9. These two directions exist. So this becomes a 9. Your count's equal to 1. Then you check this one. It's bordered by a 9 in this direction if you move back that way. So do you pass it in with a count of 1 then? 105's then not necessary, right? You originally pass it in with a count of 1. Wait, why would it be setting though? Because then it's only setting in one direction, right? I mean, I trust you. But if you make them all just equals, not plus equals, aren't you then only going to get one given direction, and it's whichever one finishes? Oh, you're passing it in at that point. Oh, because it goes through this, it goes all the way deep, and then it goes this. I see. God, I hate recursive problems. I'm still concerned it's going to hit the recurse limit. No, I don't think it will. So point height map. Well, we don't want to, wait, we don't want to pass in height map though. Because we're copy of height map. And this was something that happened the other day. So copy of height map equals list height map. Then you pass in 1 for the first one because you always know. I don't know if this does a deep list though. Oh. I don't know why I thought that made sense when I wrote it. Yeah, I see. Good catch. But the question is whether or not I'm actually passing in a... Well, I need to save it and then figure out what the 3 largest. It's still not doing something correct, though. Wait a second. It doesn't have to be a copy of the height map. Because a low point is always going to be bordered, or a basin is always going to be bordered by 9s. So changing things within these 9s to 9s isn't going to affect the other basins, right? So the height map can be like permanently changed. Still getting the wrong value. So print count plus 1. But now that's good. It's not infinitely recursing. What other things am I printing? Oh, I'm already printing basin size. I did that on purpose. 3, 9, 7, and 3, which is not right. 1 should be size 14. So the 0, 1, 1 is correct with 3. The 9 or the 0, 9 one is correct with 9. This is the one it gets wrong, which is the one that starts with 5. But why does it get it wrong? And then it also gets this one wrong. What was this one? The lowest is 5. So how could it only find 3 in there? The 3 adjacent ones? The weird part is there's no commonality between... Wait, is this 4, 6? Yeah, this one's the 4, 6. Wait, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. There seems to be no commonality between these, though. Like, in terms of me being able to detect what the pattern is and why it's wrong. So it did this one right. Or at least it got the same number. Didn't necessarily do this one right. It's weird. Yeah, thank you. So now the values are right. I just need to do the thing where I make it... Thank you for that catch. Thank you for all the help today. So definitely not the problems I'm good at. But I see... I don't know if there's a way you could do it otherwise. Because I was trying to think about how you do it, and it would make it way more complicated. Did you do the first part recursively? Is there a way to do that? But for points in low points. So you add it, you append it to the basin sizes, and then basin sizes dot sort, and then 3 largest equals print basin sizes 3 largest equals basin sizes negative 3 to the end. Maybe it's -2. No, because that would be, yeah, -3 to the end. So the one's at the farthest right size once it's been sorted. And then print 3 largest just for debugging. And then 4 value in 3 largest. A product of large basins times equal to value print product. I think I did this right. Wait, int? Oh. $11.34. Okay, cool. The printout's gonna be real long for this. Hope that's not gonna slow the whole. Oh, never mind. It's not that. Yeah, I'm curious. Are you like, what's your cool? Nice work. No, you just checked each spot. Did you do it as like verbose as this? Where I'm checking the 4 corners in these first 4 if statements, and then I check the ones that are on the outside but between the 4 corners. And then I did it the kind of cheeky way, but I just did this one for all of like the inner square, and then well, yeah, you need to check the 4. No, I know. You check the 4 adjacent, but this is what it is for like the inner square because they all have a +1, a -1 in each direction. But this isn't like a try. It's try catch in other languages. I don't know what it is in C#, but like if it gets an out of bounds error, then it goes to these ones where you only do like 2 checks if it's in the corner and then 3 checks if it's on like the outer line between the corners. Does that make sense? So like if it's in the corner, if it's in like the top left corner, the -1 ones are going to fail. So then it's going to hop to here and then it checks which of the situations it's in down here. Yeah, you can make really long if conditions too. But I did the lazy way where I just let it throw an error and then it jumps down because it knows that it's one of those 4 cases, and then or 8 cases, and then does it accordingly. But yeah, hopefully. Oh dang, I've got a lot of viewers right now. Yeah, I might stay on longer. I like to see that I'm having viewers. Anybody in the chat? That's new. I don't know when everybody hopped in, but just wanted to say hello. Thank you for coming to the stream. My name's Connor. Just finished the problem. Was talking a little bit with Devil Squirrel here in the chat. If you want to say hi, if you've got any questions, reason for being here, whatever it may be, say hello. I'm always open to personal questions, like work-related questions, like what I do, what my background is, anything like that. If you have technical questions you want to ask, maybe some things about Vim, which is what I'm using here, but I am not a Vim god by any means. But yeah, if there's anything you want to throw out there, feel free to do so. I did kind of go through yesterday's question pretty thoroughly. I do want to get a good note-taking app and like draw some stuff out, because me just like taking my cursor and doing this and making like circles and stuff, I don't think it's super clear. But yeah. Yeah. Curious, what's your background, Devil Squirrel? Are you clearly you know programming in some fashion? But are you like a computer science student, professional? Like, what do you do? You don't have to answer either. Like but I'm curious. You've been here every day. I'm interested to hear. A little bit of background on myself, I guess, just for full transparency. So I was a computer engineer. Cool. What kind of like software dev stuff do you work on? Yeah, going back and forth, I guess. Well, he answers. Or she, sorry. Um, they answer. Yeah. So I in June. Oh, cool, cool. And do you use C sharp for that, or you just use C sharp? Because that's Unity's language, right? Or I get Unity and Unreal mixed up. I know they're not really that similar, but I know they're related to game stuff. Is that why you're into C sharp? Because of the speedrunning? Or yeah. So yeah, I graduated in June with my bachelor's degree in okay, .NET Stack. Very cool. I've always been so confused by that name. Like naming it the same as a top level domain is like a really weird play, to be honest. But yeah, kind of weird. But yeah, I graduated in June. A computer engineer at Santa Clara University in San Jose, or in Santa Clara, California, but San Jose. Yeah, I'm a big SQL guy. Like most of my, and I don't want to use excuses because I definitely learned more than enough algorithm type stuff in school, but much more into like data analysis and stuff. That's why I originally got into Python. A couple years ago, got that saw that the new buzzword was data science, and I was like, oh, machine learning's like really cool. Not that I don't think it's cool anymore, but I was like, I don't know if that's really the path I want to go down. But yeah, lots Python's really really good for that. I still do machine learning stuff, but not to the same degree as I did before. But I'm one of the few people that genuinely likes SQL and like solving data wrangling problems, like creating SQL queries. I find fun. I'm sure if you are doing it day in and day out, not really, but like if there was like a SQL advent of code. I don't know how that would work story wise, but if there was like a sequel advent of code, I'd be kind of into it, to be honest. Yeah, weird take, I'm sure. But maybe it's because I haven't gotten into stuff. Well, no, I've gotten into fairly complicated stuff, but whatever. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can continue talking about myself now that I have high viewer counts, though. Like, I'm I'm curious what people want me to do. But I can talk about myself too. So yeah, I graduated in June, undergrad degree in computer engineering, and then shortly after graduation, started working at Oteemo. My company, it's in the banner here, and it's the name of this channel. So I doing this as a bit of an experiment, as a way of doing outreach and education and communication. I'm the only one that's used it so far. But we're mainly DevOps consultancy firm. So we work with other companies to overhaul or establish DevOps related infrastructure there. So that can include CI/CD, leverage continuous integration and continuous delivery. So things like GitLab CI, Circle CI, Travis CI, stuff like that, where you build code automatically when, for instance, when you build your code automatically every time a commit comes in, or say you create like a merge request on Git. Once that's created, it gets checked to make sure that it would work if it were merged into the master branch. And then people, when they're approving said merge requests, can like see, oh, does it work? Also leveraging like Terraform and Ansible to spin up VMs or other on-site infrastructure. So I don't touch a lot of code. I touch an insane amount of configuration files, which is good and bad. Definitely not into like really deep coding stuff, like deep application development, but I do like coding. Just this is a perfect amount of coding for me. But I do like writing scripts. I'm a big Linux guy, and hopefully in some of these streams soon, I can do more Linux stuff and flex that a little bit more. So I was talking in the beginning of the stream, probably going to be hosting a getting up to speed with LunarVim and configuring LunarVim partially. I'm going to learn on the spot because I've only done a little bit of configuration for it, but it is the distribution of Vim I'm using here. But yeah, and maybe doing some more like strictly educational stuff, like giving presentations or whatever it may be. Oh yeah, I believe, yeah, Sammy, if you would like to come on Saturday, if you'd either like to be a part of it, you're up kind of late too, aren't you? If you'd like to come to it or be a part of it, I think Ishmael, Jedi, and Rahul might all be making an appearance on that stream whenever it happens. So if you have any interest in that, let me know at some point. But yeah, doing like a Vim, probably not teaching Vim. Maybe we'll go through Vim tutor, but more about like getting Vim to not look like. Ooh, cool. Yeah, but if you want to stop by or be a part of it, let me know. But yeah, unless there's anything somebody wants me to talk about, I'm probably gonna be signing off here shortly. Always open to questions about anything. If it's something I don't want to answer, I won't answer it. But throw any questions my way or questions about the solution. I understand how Devil Squirrel did it or coaxed me into doing it. It was not a completely original solution, so thank you for that help. Oh yeah, true. Yeah, let's do that. Let's laugh at your name again. Is Celeste a good game? Should I get it? I don't have it right now. I also have way too many games that I like don't play. But yeah, we'll go through your solution. Celeste is great. I've heard that. For some reason, I had this like, I really wanted to play BioShock again yesterday because somebody said Big Daddy in a Zoom call I was on, so I was like, dang, I really need to play that. So what do you do? So a solver, so you create a map, width, height. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong solution. I was like smoke basin, yeah. It's like what does that have to do with the 7-segment display? Yeah. Pepega. My goal, I don't even care about, actually I do somewhat care about getting more viewers, but my hope is sometime in the future that this will actually become a chat where there's a lot of emotes getting spammed. I have FrankerFaceZ and BTTV turned on, so if you want to use those, go for it. But I enjoy emotes. Maybe I'll even make my own. On a recent work trip, that's leads to a funny story, and then I'll get to this. But we were at a bar, and this was in like Utah, which was a very weird place for me. I've never been to Utah before, but very different. But we were at a bar at like 1 a.m. and some drunk woman came over to me and like tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "I just wanted to tell you look like Harry Potter." And I was like, "Oh, thanks. Like that's really nice of you." And now my coworkers who were there at the time are now photoshopping me into a picture of Harry Potter. So maybe we'll make that a emote once it gets done. I also go by corn dog sometimes, so I'll probably see if I can turn myself into a corn dog as well. Maybe make that one an emote too. Okay, so back to this. So what's this like name thing? Is this like related to like the IDE? Like I know it's like on the file level, it's the name, but like curious what that does. So you get the lines from the input. The segments are a list of strings. Just a class. Oh, okay. Because you're doing this in like Visual Studio or something like that, I assume. So like when you create a new project, you like pass in something, right? I'm just imagining with like Java if you were to do a similar thing. So you get the lines, and then is this something you wrote? What is tools? Oh, is this new? Oh, it doesn't. Oh, you made a tools thing, it looks like. Or is that getting pulled in? Whatever. I'm getting sidetracked. So you create a list of strings. Yeah, you created it. Okay. So it's kind of like how I copy in my stuff every day, but better because you actually pull it in as a object or whatever, as a library. Okay, back to what we were doing. So segments is a list of string arrays. So for 0, this is just splitting it, right? Oh, interesting. Why do you do this? Is it because it's going to... Yeah. Oh, you're defining what the pattern of the line is? Okay, I see. Okay, so in the output values, how many times do the digits 1, 4, 7, or 8 appear? This is the first part. I don't really need to go through that. And then you use the switch statement. And then solve part 2. So the sum equals 0. So you create a dictionary of ints, which is the mapping. And then you create a list of int tuples remaining. Yeah, minorly confused. Yeah, the first part. Oh, this part finds 1, 4, 7, and 8. So the code. What's codes? When do you add to codes? Oh, it's the segments. Oh, every time. Okay, I see. Oh, it's like it's the 10 codes. I see. Okay. So, 4 equals the code, blah blah blah. And then count occurrences of 4. Oh, and adds the rest to remaining in the case of 6. So you don't even need to touch the 5 cases in order for this to work. You just leave case 5 empty. Oh, this is the syntax for like a waterfall case. I see. Okay. Yeah. So it adds 5 and 6. And so you start with the remaining dot count. So you should have those 6 left. So remaining J. So you're just iterating backwards. Wait, why do you have to do it backwards? Because you want to look at the 6s first? Is that why? Oh, you just wrote it that way. Okay. So you iterate through all of them. You count the occurrences of... So what is count occurrences? Hop count left and right. So 4. Oh, which one's over? I see. It's the bit operations. What does pop count do? That's not telling me. Just a fancy way to get the intersection. Okay. So you find the intersection between 4 and that code. And then the mapping for that code is going to be, if it's equal to 2, then 2. Or if count 1 is equal to 2. And it's 3, and if not, it's 5. Oh, okay. I see what you're doing now. Okay. So, yeah. I'm gonna have to think about it in order to put it into words, but I understand what's happening. And you mean you put it into words up here to a certain degree. You only need to use 1 and 4, and you can determine the other 6 digits for the length 5 once you intersect the 4 set with the sets you were looking for. If there are 2 intersect segments, it's a 2. Else you intersect the one against it. So the difference being that you look at the my approach, for those of you that weren't here, my approach was to this is not it open. This is tonight's problem. But mine was to look at the actual segments and do kind of a similar idea, but look at the count of all of the different length 5 segments and length 6 segments. But instead, what this is doing is just determining based on the general overlap of the segments themselves, like the count of overlapping segments, you're able to determine which number it's going to be in the end. So it's like it's one step abstracted away from the problem compared to my solution, which is very interesting. Yeah. So four only overlaps with which one? It was 6. 4 overlaps with 2 times. Yeah, I want to bring up the picture. So 4 overlaps with 2 times. Okay, I see. But it overlaps with 3 times, for instance, and then 5 3 times. Oh, I see what you're doing. So this is not, it's not deterministic, but that has to do with how you wrote your cases. But if it overlaps with 4 overlaps with 2 for 2 segments, or whatever, with the given thing for 2 segments, because then nothing else overlaps with 4 for only 2 segments, right? 8 overlaps in 4 segments. 9 overlaps in 4. Oh, that's really interesting. 6 overlaps in 3. Ooh, that's very cool. I like that. Yeah, so if it's equal to 2, then it's 2. And then if the overlaps with 1 is 2, then it's 3. The overlap with 1 is 2, it's 3. So the only one that overlaps with 1 out of the ones that are left, right? So the only one that overlaps 2 is, that's not 4, is 3. I see. Wait, doesn't 9? Or am I missing something? Oh, for case 5. I see. Out of the 5 length ones. So the 5 length ones, 3 is the only one. Okay, cool. I understand now. And then if not, it's 5, so it's the last case. And then you do the same thing. Oh, okay. That's really cool. And then with 6, if the overlaps with 4 is 4, it's 9. The overlaps with 4 is 4, so 6 only has 3 with 4, 9 has 4, 0 has 3, and then the overlaps with 1. Oh, I really, really like this. This is very interesting. Interesting way to approach it. So what was wrong with your solution last night when you had to go to bed? Count 1. Interesting. Was it the actual like logic or some other like type issues or something? And if it's 1, it's 6. Otherwise, it's 0. How were you approaching it then before you went to bed? Yeah, I also did a similar, well, I guess the same thing but opposite. I was laying in bed because I was like, I don't need to finish this tonight. It was like almost 12:30 or something like that, and I was like, oh, I know why. Like my thing. Yeah. I wrote out my logic, and I feel like such an idiot. I wrote out all of my logic, and I was like, oh, this is like perfect. I'm gonna execute on this, and I like just completely disregarded that 0 existed. Because I like got to the point where I was looking at all of like the length 6 segments, and I'm expecting the 6 and the 9, and being like, oh, this is different. Like these are the two that are not gonna match. And then all my logic was off, so I was like, okay, print all of the ones at length 6, and then I realized that 0 existed, which it's right here. I don't know why that happened, but it happened nonetheless. So yeah, I can be a ape, a monkey sometimes, absolute clown sometimes. But yeah, no, that's a really cool solution. Yeah, it's basically like abstracting away what I did. Like I think if you were to like take what I did in a way and like refactor it, like I'm because these like counts are like doing the same thing in a way. They're like doing it across like a different dimension, but the counts are like doing kind of a similar thing. And I'm like, yeah, I see the differences and I see the merits. That is very cool. But yeah. So I'll see if I can figure out this like pen and tablet for tomorrow. See if I can get OneNote going, so that I can maybe even draw out both solutions, both approaches to it tomorrow. Because I still think this problem's super super interesting. But yeah. But probably gonna call it a day for tonight, or call it a night for tonight, I guess. But yeah. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the help, Devil Squirrel, and all of your input in general. So yeah, take it easy, man. Have a nice night. Everybody sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. But yeah, everyone have a good night. Hopefully I can see people tomorrow. Please follow. It'd be greatly appreciated so you know when I'm going live. But around 8 to 8:30 Pacific time, and going until I finish the problem and or do anything that I want to do after, or I give up. So it just depends on the day. But trying to shoot for an hour and a half to 2 hours at least every day. So yeah, see y'all later. Have a nice night.